All right, I want to welcome everyone to the July 20th meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. I know that we had previously stated that we would be open for the public to attend meetings here at City Hall, but due to evolving circumstances, we are remaining isolated, I guess you can say, from public attendance. The public will not be in attendance for this afternoon or this evening's meetings. And with that, I'll just read this disclaimer and we'll start the meeting. Due to the evolving situation with the COVID-19 novel coronavirus and health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, the Glendale Housing Authority meeting will be available to the public electronically. Due to social distancing requirements, the public will not be able to attend the meeting. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. Now, the meetings can be viewed on local cable, Charter Cable Channel 6 and AT&T UVerse Channel 99, as well as streaming online at www.glendaleca.gov. If you find the public meeting portal, and we had made an announcement, I believe, just a week ago, if not maybe in the last couple of weeks, about it being available through a number of streaming services, including the Roku TV, which is very exciting. And with that, I'll ask that we have the roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Authority Member Ajinian.
Mr. Ajinian, you are on mute.
Here.
Thank you.
Agajanian.
Present.
Brotman. Here. Devine.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian. And Chair Kasakian.
Here. Thank you. May we have your report?
The agenda for the July 20th, 2021 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on July 13th, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I would like to move the item.
Second.
Thank you. May we have roll call?
Authority Member Ajinian.
Here.
Agajanian.
Yes.
Brotman.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Parazian. And Chair Kasakian.
Yes. And Mr. Ajinian, you intended to vote yes, right? Not present.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Next is oral communications. We do not have anything on I don't believe we have any cards for oral communications. So with that, we will move to the business agenda. What is on our business agenda?
6A would be community development regarding approval of appropriate $4,268,736 Section 8 funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and establishment of the Emergency Housing Voucher Program under American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, including necessary staffing and approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Glendale Housing Authority and Glendale Continuum of Care. 1, motion to establish emergency housing vouchers program under the Section 8 program, including necessary staffing and approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Glendale Housing Authority and Glendale Continuum of Care. 2, resolution of appropriation in the amount of $4,268,736 in funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Emergency Housing Voucher Program under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
All right.
Yes, good afternoon. Housing Chair Kasakian, members of the Housing Authority. As it was read into the record, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, has created a new Section 8 voucher program, which is called Emergency Housing Vouchers. And for Glendale, we are excited to announce it means 225 new vouchers. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Arthur Bolbolian, our housing supervisor, for additional detail and a presentation. And he is ably assisted by Arsina Isayan, our senior administrative analyst, just in case you have questions related to the Community Services and Parks Department function. Arthur?
Thank you, Mr. Gulanian. Good afternoon, Chairman Kasakian and members of the Housing Authority. My name is Arthur Bolbolian, and I supervise the Housing Choice Voucher Program. We are here seeking your approval to appropriate $4.2 million in Section 8 funds from HUD and establishment of the EHVs, Emergency Housing Vouchers, under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA as it's also known. including necessary staffing and approval of the MOU between Glendale Housing Authority and Glendale Continuum of Care. Under ARPA, oh, thanks. Okay, thank you. Next one, please, if you go. So, under ARPA, HUD appropriated $5 billion nationwide for 70,000 vouchers to be administered by public housing agencies. And it will allow families to choose safe, decent, and affordable housing. As far as eligibility criteria on the next slide, the vouchers are limited to individuals who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, recently homeless, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, or sexual assault. Next, the Grendel Program, we were awarded 225 emergency housing vouchers. For these vouchers, we were awarded $4.2 million in funding. As far as benefits to Glendale, what's in it for us? The first two are obvious, but in addition, HUD has made 3 fees available to the agencies: placement fee, issuing fee, and services fee. Placement fees, we get $500 if we lease up any vouchers from the time that the term began, which is July 1st, to up to 4 months. And then after that will be $250 per each voucher. Issuing fees, we get $100 for any voucher that we lease up from the date of issuance to 14 days. And then services fee, which is to be used to coordinate services with the local COC, which is $3,500 for services. The $3,500 service fee may only be used for housing search, security deposit, owner recruitment and retention, and etc. As far as program terms, the vouchers are funded until year 2030, and EHVs are not meant to serve people on the current Section 8 waiting list. As far as the responsibilities of the COC service providers and partnering agencies would be responsible for screening eligible applicants, supporting them in completing applications.
Excuse me, you need to adjust the slides. There you go.
Supporting them in completing applications, supporting Section 8 staff in ensuring appointment notifications, and this is important, providing follow-up case management for up to 12 months, which is significant. I also do want to identify our COC partners who would be working closely with our Glendale Continuum of Care, and I do want to thank them in advance. They are Essentia, Family Promise of the Verdugos, ARS, Armenian Relief Society, YWCA, and Door of Hope. I got them all right? Okay, good. Slide number 10, as far as program administration, PHS must work with the community partners. PHS must enter into an MOU by 31st of this month, which we're on track to do that. And all the referrals for EHVs must come through COC's Coordinated Entry System, CS as it's also known, or from the victim service providers.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
Sure.
The public is not seeing the slides in concession while you conducting your speech. So you have to somehow sink in, please. On TV, they're not seeing what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. We're attempting to.
You're on slide 11, and on TV it's slide 10 or 9.
Sure. I think we're looking into seeing what the issue with that is, and hopefully, maybe with this new fix that our city clerk has
I'm just saying
introduced, we'll fix it.
The Glendale TV is showing, and what I'm seeing is different things.
Okay.
Yeah, advance it, you.
For anyone following this meeting, we're trying to just sync up
Okay,
our
thank you.
slides with the presentation.
okay, sorry about that.
All right, you may continue.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, as far as program, I'll repeat again on slide number 10. As far as program administration, we must work with our community partners. We must enter in an MOU by 31st of July, which is this month, and we're on track to do that. And all the referrals for EHVs must come through COC Coordinated Entry System, CES, as it's also known, and Victim Service Provider. Next, in order.
Before you go on, Authority Member Ajinian, can you see it? There's about a 45-second delay. Can you see it now? Are you watching it on TV or are you watching it on a computer? Authority Member Ajinian?
Authority Member
I'm
Ajinian?
watching both.
Okay. And which slide do you have right now on your screen?
Right now it's 11. He's supposed to be on 11,
Yes,
and the
okay.
TV's 11.
All right, looks like we're synced up.
Right, I was,
There we are.
Board Member Jimmy, I would suggest you not watch the GTV6 feed because it's about 45 seconds behind the feed that you're watching on your
Yeah, but
computer.
you might have somebody calling in and commenting on the presentation.
Understood, but when they're watching it on TV, they're seeing it as it's scrolling on TV, so they'll see it just.
Okay, okay.
Okay, you may continue, Mr. Bowolian.
Thank you. So, as far as slide number 11, in order to avoid negatively impacting regular Section 8 program operations, staff is recommending addition of 3 hourly staff members, one for housing, one for finance, and one for CSP. I would like to emphasize that these are hourly employees and do not increase the total citywide headcount of salaried positions. As far as impact of these recommendations, the impact is minimal, and as you see, all 3 positions will be funded through EHV program. And depending on how the program is progressing, staff may return to seek additional staffing if necessary. Finally, as you see in the alternatives, obviously we recommend the approval of the MOU and the appropriation of funds. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I'll be available for any questions. Also, as Mr. Gulanian mentioned, Arsene San, who heads the Glendale COC, is available. She recently replaced Ms. Yvette Samvelian, and I also have here with me one of my staff members, Inak Sabin, if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So this is funds that have been assigned to us specifically for helping our homeless population through a Section 8 voucher program?
Yes,
That is
Mr.
correct?
Kosaki, that's correct.
And so what's before the Housing Authority today is a motion to establish this program to specifically help those who are homeless, or as you mentioned, the criteria, recently homeless, about to be homeless or near homeless, as well as a resolution, I believe, for appropriation. Are there any questions from any of the authority members to staff?
Yes.
Mr. Agajanian.
So that 4 million is for the duration of the project, right?
That's correct.
Okay, now, we say $1,235,280 for administration cost. So we go further on page 11, right? Or you have somewhere else to? Okay, page 12 is better because they totaled it up, because my package, the total was wrong, but this one is correct anyway. On the package I have, it was showing 198,300, but here is correct, 208,000 is correct. But however, if yearly cost is 208,000 for administrative cost is 208,000, and then you have 1,300,000. How many years we are doing this until 2030? Let's say we start next year or this year?
This year, started
So
July
we are
1st.
2021. We have to do for 8 years at least.
That's
right?
correct.
8 years of 200 will be 1.6 million, where you have 1.3 million for the project. So how that's gonna work?
I believe that's the yearly cost you're looking at, correct?
Yeah, yearly 208,000 you have written here. 208,000 is yearly. The anticipated cost for the positions are 208,300 plus maintenance and operations. Right?
That's correct.
Yearly. Okay, we go to the figure which you have, the amount of money you have is on page 5. You say 3,033,000 for rental assistant, 1,235,280 for administrative cost and services fees. So you have 3 employees with 208,300 salary. If you have 8 years, you have to pay them.
Yeah, so you're pointing out maybe a $300,000 or $400,000 shortfall
Yeah.
over the life of the program. Over the 8 years, we should be able to, especially because they're hourly, we should be able to work with those hours and get it within the $1.2 million. We could also ask HUD for more money if it's wildly successful. We may even be able to take from our Section 8 reserve, this I'm not sure, and backfill that. But we have 8 years to manage that, the hours, to make sure that it fits the budget. But the intent is that we would use the granted funds to pay for any staff, not additional funds.
I understand, but my worry is that eventually you're gonna go and at the end, you have to touch that 3,033,000, which is for rental assistant. That's what I'm worried, this 300, especially year by year expenses will be more. It's not gonna be less. I mean, if you are short 300,000 now, so in duration of this project will get worse and worse. I just want to bring to you guys, pay attention and adjust accordingly in the beginning rather than wait and have problem down the road. Anyway, thank you.
Noted, thank you.
Authority Member Brotman.
Yeah, I have a few questions. Let me, kind of along the lines of Councilmember Gudanian's question. So, because it also says,
No mic.
Your microphone.
apologies, I was supposed to be able to see that bright red light. So, yeah, because it says that we have 1,235,000 for administrative costs and service fees. Now, part of that is for the salaries, right? But part of that is some of these other things, and maybe you can explain a little bit more what they are. The placement fees, the issuing fee, service fees. I'm just not, maybe you can just kind of elaborate on that a little bit more.
Sure.
That's on slide 6.
Thank you, Authority Member Broadman. To just on the previous issue, the ongoing admin fee will be covered, the differences with the salaries that was mentioned. And also, as far as the placement fees, we would be getting bonuses if they were, depending on when we list up these vouchers. So if it's within the 4 months of when the program began, we get 500, and it's between 4 to 6 months we get 250, and then the 3,500 we get for each vouchers that we list up.
So we get these fees from HUD.
That's correct. Yes.
I see, so we get additional fees on top of that 1.235 million.
That's correct. And in addition, as this it was indicated in the slide, we will earn 100% monthly admin fee, which was contrary to before, which we normally get 80%. Because this program has allowed us to get 100% full admin fee from this.
100% of what?
Of the admin fee.
100% of the.
They give us 100% of the admin fee for each voucher that we administer, instead of the prorated amount of 80%.
I'm not quite sure what that means.
For each voucher that we administer, we get an admin fee for that, for doing the administration of the vouchers. So normally they're
From
prorated.
HUD, from
That's
HUD we
correct.
get- So we're just getting more than we normally get.
That's correct.
Okay. So we're getting these placement fees, depending on how we progress with the program, we're getting certain fees. These are not additional costs. Okay, I
That's
thought these
correct.
were, I was thinking these are
No,
fees somehow.
No,
that
it's a benefit to
we're paying
Glendale.
partners.
It's an incentive to Glendale.
Okay, so we're getting these additional fees. But that some of it we use, it says on slide 7, so some of those fees, the service fee, we actually use for supporting the clients in the program. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I get it. Okay. And then my other question then on slide 8, so the vouchers are funded until 2030. So if we get somebody into a unit, basically, we have vouchers to keep them in that unit, or to cover the costs for that unit until 2030. But if somebody, you're saying, if somebody were to leave after September 30, 2023, then that voucher expires? Is that what this is saying?
That's correct. We're not, per HUD, we're not allowed to issue the vacant vouchers, to reissue the vouchers.
Okay, so we basically need to get these all subscribed, or whatever you call it, by September 2023?
That's the goal. No,
Okay.
we are to listen by September 30, 2023, but the term of the voucher is until year 2030.
Okay, but we have to get 225 people into housing by the end of next year. By September of
End of
next year, we have to
September,
get these 225 people identified into housing, right?
by end of 2023,
Right.
2 years.
Oh, we're at 2021, that's right. 2 years, okay. So we have 2 years to get them in, okay. All right, I think that was, I was just a little confused about some of those. And then just my last question is something I brought up during the briefings, but it's a kind of about the availability of landlords that are willing to participate in this program. Can you talk about what we're going to do, or to make sure, we have the inventory, if you want to call it that, of housing? Is that something you're worried about? Is that something we're going to have to do anything special to make sure that we can get, that the people that get these vouchers are going to be able to find suitable housing?
Thank you, Authority Member Broadman. I know that's a concern that's shared by Chairman Kasakian. And yes, we do share that concern. That also came up during our meeting with the COCs. And our goal is to do everything we can to use these vouchers. We will be working on incentive programs for the owners. We already, in Glendale, as you know, we already have incentive programs. We will be using some of these fees and some of this additional money that we're getting to enhance the program, to incentivize them for the owners. And we will also be using some of the services fee, the $3,500 services fee for using it for deposit, which used to be another barrier for homeless. They didn't have the deposit money, and also to connect services and for moving expenses. So we haven't, after today's meeting, we'll meet again to come up with a strategy to list them, or to help to administer, to come up with the eligibility process as far as referring it to housing authority, and to as far as approaching to the owners, because there's a way of approaching it. I mentioned this last time, where instead of just approaching to the owner and saying that I'm homeless, I'm looking for a unit, there's a way of approaching it, that they can just approach as a regular tenant. They have every right. They're just, they're like every other tenant. And we have, the difference this time is that we have these additional resources that will be very helpful, which we didn't have in the past. This program, this is a once in a Miss Samvelian and Arsenal, and when we're talking, this has a potential, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, these vouchers. They've never done this before, and it has a potential to end homelessness in Glendale as we know it. Last homeless count was 160. We've received 225 vouchers, so it's huge. But you know, at the end of the day, though, these vouchers they're tenant-based, and, you know, it's a voluntary program for the owners, but we'll do everything we can to make sure that it's a success.
Yeah, and one, I mean, I know one of the challenges we've had, like one particular case I'm familiar with, we had somebody who was unable to find housing, and part of the and lost his Section 8. This was under the, you know, under the existing program, and part of the problem was, I think, a mental health issue, and also the fact that this homeless person really didn't have access to a computer, you know, just didn't have the wherewithal, you know, to be able to find the housing. Sure, you could go into the library and use a computer, but, you know, it really takes somebody with some basic, you know, wherewithal to be able to figure out, you know, the process and find something. So we're going to have more of a population that's going to need hand-holding here. Are we going to be able to, are we going to be able to work with our COC partners, make sure that we're doing more than we normally do with the voucher program? We're really doing more hands-on.
We definitely are. This will be a collaborative effort with our COC partners that I mentioned, and individuals like that will be an ideal candidate to take advantage of this voucher.
Okay, but we're not just going to kind of leave them, you know, you go find your housing?
No, we are not. That's one of the differences this time, where that the 12-month case management that I mentioned, they've never done that before with the as far as in a collaborative effort with the Section 8 voucher. In the past, when we had mutual clients, they provided probably for the first month, and then they had to assist other candidate or other applicants. But this time, on the cases like that, you know, I'm intimately familiar with that case. On cases like that, they'll provide 12 months of case management. So where they'll, you know, help them out. You know, they have their expertise in dealing with such clients, and they'll be helping them out.
Well, if I may,
I'm
I'd like to
finished,
ask for you to come up, Arce. Mrs. Sayan,
Kasaki.
who will also speak to specifically, because you've taken on the task of handling a lot of
Yes.
homeless cases. Is there anything that you would like to add to Mr. Bobolion's comments?
Chairman Kasakian, Housing Authority Member Broadman, we will be providing 12 months of case management. Our agencies have expressed their willingness to help the clients for up to 12 months. They are leveraging the services, the funds. They're not going to be funded through the EHV program, but they're very eager to see that their clients are now going to be able to get placed into permanent housing, which is something that we have not been able to do. This is the first time that we're getting 225 vouchers. One thing that I do want to mention is under our continuum of care programs, we have the permanent supportive housing programs. Those programs have the ongoing case management tied to it. So as we place the clients, we also provide case management for housing retention, just to make sure that they have those wraparound services to avoid situations similar to what you mentioned, Authority Member Broadman. What we can do under this program, we have the flexibility now to look at our existing list of clients who are currently housed in our permanent supportive housing programs and successfully transition them to the EHV program, which then opens up room for the chronically homeless, those clients who need the hand-holding and the ongoing long-term case management. That's something that our COC agencies have already started looking into. They're looking at their client lists, the length of stay that they've been in the program, and if they're ready to move on. They've made their way towards self-sufficiency, so they no longer need our case management services. They just need the subsidy. So that's definitely something we'll be looking into to make room for the chronically homeless population, to ensure that that housing retention, you know, we don't want people back on the street. This isn't just placing families and individuals. This is making sure that they're able to maintain their housing once this, you know, program has rolled out. So I wanted to really make sure that we highlight those agencies: Essentia, Family Promise, Door of Hope, the YWCA. Am I missing anyone? I hope not. ARS, yes,
yeah,
absolutely. ARS, who joined our
Armenian
team in
Relief
2019 for homeless programs. They are all stepping up. They're stepping in. There's going to be intensive planning and coordination. As you know, they just rolled out this, they notified us last month. So as we're getting things ready to roll out the program, we're also meeting, we'll be meeting on a monthly basis to discuss any challenges that might come up in the program. We'll have that close coordination and collaboration with our agencies to make sure that this program is successful and that we're able to fully utilize the vouchers.
You may not want to go very far. Mr. Brotman, did you have?
No, I was just going to ask, just a request that whether it's 3 months or 6 months or when you think it's appropriate, if you could come back and give us a report on the progress. Because I think this all sounds really good. Let's see, see how it plays out. I think we'd all be interested in that.
Sure. I think everyone here on this body would agree that we do want to make sure that we track the progress. But Authority Member Devine had a question, and she's been waiting patiently, followed by Authority Member Najarian. Ms. Devine?
Yes, thank you. I was concerned about the number of housing units that are available, but in your report, you mentioned that there will be a housing search, which I think will absolutely be necessary. And I know that the Essentia and Door of Hope and the others look for housing as well. So I think working together. But when you read the staff report, Section 8 staff will rely on the services of these providers to help clients secure document. I mean, everything's going to be done for them. The proper documentation, the paperwork, and then our Section 8 staff will be setting up the rental contracts and the payment process. And then homeless services staff will work at obtaining furnishings for the units, the refrigerators and clothing and food. And then they're also going to continue to monitor the lease agreement and conduct annual recertifications for the tenant year to year, which is far more, I think, than we do for Section 8. My question is about Section 8, because in a lot of instances in this report, it says Section 8 tenants are not eligible. The EHV program is not meant to serve people on the current Section 8 waiting list. But, so are you saying then, and then on, I think it was in the terms on slide number 9, you mentioned that again, but then you say that you're going to give notice to those on the Section 8 list. Does that mean they can come off the Section 8 list and try to enroll in this program? And then what happens if they don't get in this program? Do they get put back in the Section 8 program? I mean, there seems to be a little bit of confusion right there for me.
Mr. Bobolyan, would you be able to answer Authority Member Devine's question about that?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Second, Mayor Devine, thank you for the question. That's the further notice that came out, that's mandated by HUD, where they're not eligible for EH fees, but we will be notifying them that these are available. So in case there's let's say in case there's an applicant on the list, on our current waiting list that wants to take advantage of these vouchers, they would have to go through the COC. If our waiting list is closed and we do have a candidate who is homeless, they need to go to, they can take advantage of this, but they need to go through the COC to get qualified. However, let's say if your waiting list is open and we are helping applicants, if somebody is homeless, they automatically shoot through the top anyway. They get 12 automatically. They get assigned 12 points. Of course, they still have to go through eligibility, which we send again through Essentia. So either way, they will be helped if they meet the homeless definition.
So again, if they're in the Section 8 program and they decide they want to apply for this program, the EHV, do they have to give up their Section 8 voucher to get this one? And then or to apply for this one? And then if they don't receive this voucher, do they lose their spot in their Section 8 housing?
No, they do not. They can apply for. Excuse me. I'm sorry. They can apply for this one. Go through the CS. If for whatever reason they're not qualified, if they're not eligible, if they're not, they don't get the homeless designation, then they can go back on the waiting list to where they were before and get assigned the points that appropriate points that they have if they don't get the homeless points.
Okay, all right, thank you. So if they're in Section 8, they can apply for this.
That's correct.
So that statement is incorrect.
If I may clarify.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Mrs.
Authority
Syed.
Member Devine, if I may clarify, so clients who are in our existing Housing Choice Voucher Program, the current program that Section 8 runs, they would not qualify because they wouldn't meet the homeless definition or they wouldn't be recently homeless. What we do with the Housing Department, the Glendale Continuum of Care and the Housing Authority, we work together to identify the Section 8, clients on the Section 8 or applicants on our Section 8 waiting list who are now homeless. We do come across applicants on the list who are reaching out to us through our Glendale Coordinated Entry System for homeless services. So we have that coordination with the Housing Department. Someone comes through the door with any one of our agencies, the first thing we do is we work with Section 8 to see if they are currently on the waiting list. If they are, we pull their application, we verify their homeless status, and then we make it a priority to serve that individual or that household. But if they're currently in our Section 8 program, and if they've been in the program for years, they wouldn't qualify for this program.
Because they're
Thank you for
already
that
receiving them.
explanation.
Correct.
Now I understand it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions, Ms. Devine? All right, if not, then
I'm finished. Mr. Najarian.
Mr. Najarian, go ahead.
So, but you raise a point, Paula. What if someone receives this this voucher, is then called up on Section 8 saying, "Oh, here you go, congratulations, your number is up." That person would then have to make a choice whether to return that voucher. And as I understand, that voucher cannot be reused, right? According to your thing, that because
Yes.
the government is only going to fund this for 10 years or 9 years, so they want to generally winnow it down. So, I mean, that's I guess someone's going to have to make a decision on that, whether they want to give up the voucher for Section 8 or take the Section 8. I'm sure it's a matter of finances. So that's not really a question, but that's just an observation. I think what's very important to me is that these vouchers only go to residents of Glendale, that we do not look outside the city of Glendale borders to provide vouchers. Other cities apparently are getting their fair share of vouchers. So in no way do I want a needy person in the city of Glendale to be passed over from someone from another city to receive this housing assistance. Can you address that? Do we have that authority to limit that to Glendale, or because it's federal funds, we're stuck to take whoever applies from Long Beach or Lancaster or wherever?
Authority Member Najarian, per HUD, we can't set a preference. As you mentioned, unfortunately, many of the surrounding jurisdictions have also received these vouchers, so they can, they can utilize them. But we cannot set that preference. But we do have enough applicants currently in our system where we can assist.
Do they have priority? Do the current applicants have priority over the later applicants? Is it chronological, or how does it?
Authority Member Najarian, we do have a list through our CES system, so those clients will be prioritized to receive services. As Arthur mentioned, we can't set residency preferences, but we can work with the existing group. And also, one thing I wanted to mention is, for those clients who are recently homeless, who are in our rapid rehousing programs or homeless prevention programs, those clients are also going to have an opportunity to get placed in the EHV program. So the 225 vouchers, not all vouchers are going to require a new unit. They're going to be able to maintain their housing in their existing unit and then just make that switch over to the EHV program. So that's going to help us out. Oftentimes we see families and individuals in our rapid rehousing programs who need the assistance, but we know it's past just that temporary rental assistance. They need ongoing support. So with this program now, we're going to have that flexibility to transition them into the EHV program. And I also want to highlight, one thing I want to mention is, even though the subsidy is for 9 years, we've been attending weekly implementation meetings with HUD, and HUD does not want us to advertise this program as a temporary type housing voucher program. They are looking at other alternatives to see what they can do once the assistance ends to allow the residents to maintain their status or continue their participation in our program. So that's something that they are looking into. It is a voucher program, and we don't want people to end up on the street. So they are gonna update us as we make, more progress with the program.
And as far as the ongoing services.
Wait, I still have another question.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Authority Member Najarian.
So I do want to make sure I see the 4 categories of applicants of qualified homeless, at risk of homeless, fleeing domestic violence, sexual assault, were recently homeless. I want to make sure that the applicants that you're screening are not homeless for other reasons than besides inability to pay. I want to make sure they're not homeless because they are drug abusers or that they are themselves perpetrators of crime. Perhaps they've done some time in jail, they come out, guess what, they're homeless. So do you screen them to that extent? I don't want to be placing very inappropriate tenants in units with this program that have been bad actors in the past.
Yes, we are, Authority Member Najarian. They'll be going through a vigorous background check, just like any other. This is just like the Housing Trust Voucher Program. They'll be going through the background check like every other member on the program. And again, and if any of those issues come up, it'll be addressed accordingly.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Najarian. Mr. Rajinian, go ahead, and then after that, we'll come back to Authority Member Devine, who has a question. Go ahead. You're on mute, sir. You're on mute. I don't know if you can hear us, but thank you.
Yes, in
Great.
looking at the EHV eligibility, my concern is one of the qualifications at risk of homelessness. Does this mean the EHV has some kind of a vocational training service qualification? After all, we're trying to get these people off of homelessness, is there any kind of a job training or anything like that available?
Housing Authority Member Ajanian, there is no specific training that's tied to the assistance. However, as part of the case management, we do work with, for example, one of our agencies, the Vertigo Job Center. So if that's something that our clients need and they're seeking services to increase their income and maintain, self-sufficiency, we would certainly help those clients. The homeless prevention piece, those who are at risk of homelessness, it's so wonderful that we're able to reach out to that population in this program as well, because in the past with our COC programs, we weren't able to permanently house this population. But they will not be on the priority list. We'll be working with clients who are DV, who are fleeing domestic violence, recently homeless, and then we would target, work with our clients who are at the risk of becoming homeless. But those services will be available. It'll be case by case. If families or individuals need them, we'll be happy to refer them to those services.
Thank you.
All right, great. Authority Member Devine?
Yeah, my last concern, Arsene, is the vouchers that turn over after September 2023, we could lose them. Is there any way that you're going to somehow, I don't know if you can guarantee that once they receive this EHV, that they'll stay for like 5 or 6, 7, 8 years, or do you have any plans on that particular front?
Authority Member Devine, we are going to be providing the 12-month case management. That's something that our agencies have committed to. Again, once we implement the program and once we've actually continued with the housing placements, we would have to work closely with our agencies. With our collaboration and our coordination, we'll have to look at the data, we'll have to review the clients and see where they're at, what their needs are, and then we can, decide if we can extend those services. Ideally, yes, it would be wonderful to work with these clients for the duration, the 8 years, the 9 years, but we would have to see how the first year works out and then come up with alternative funding or resources to be able to continue the intensive case management if necessary. Not all clients will require intensive case management, and that's something that we're going to be screening for as well, and it's going to be documented. But some, of course, will need a little bit more handholding, and that's an area where we need to develop further on. We need to see if we can go past the 12 months and how we can do that. But we will be keeping data, and we're happy to come back to council and provide you with updates. All of our agencies are going to utilize our homeless information management system, which is a system that we use in our COC to track all of this data and information for our clients. So we'll be happy to provide Housing Authority with an update on that.
Okay, thank you. I just worry that they're gonna get into the program and then drop out and we lose the voucher. I think it's a fantastic program. I think the plan, the steps that you all are taking and the collaboration will be amazing, and I hope that we can get 225 needy residents, needy people that will take advantage of this program. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, Mr. Agajanian, please go ahead.
Generally, some of these homeless people, it's hard to accommodate them, ask them to stay in a unit. So what else we have in the pipe and that like mental help they're gonna get? Because you have mentioned that if they leave the unit, let's say we'll lose after 2023, we will lose the voucher, right?
Correct.
So just house them probably is not enough, because we know some of them are, because we have done this before, right? You house them, but after a while they leave and they don't care. They don't want to be inside the unit even. They want to be outside. And what we're going to do to help them as far as like somehow to help them not to leave the unit. There should be some program. Otherwise, one after another, we're going to lose these vouchers. That's why that's my concern.
Chairman Kasakian, Housing Authority Member Agajanian, we understand and we share that same concern. For us, case management is extremely important. Again, the housing retention, we want to make sure our clients stay housed for as long as possible. With this program, not all clients, again, are going to require intensive case management. What HUD is asking the COCs to do is to screen and identify the clients who are housing ready. To be, they have to be ready to be placed into our program. The chronically homeless population, from our experience, those groups are the ones that require the intensive ongoing case management, which is why now we have the flexibility to make room in our permanent supportive housing program to house that specific population who needs the more day-to-day ongoing case management. So, for example, we have families in our rapid rehousing program who were recently homeless, and they just became homeless simply due to COVID. Because of COVID, just financially, they could no longer afford their rent. So those are the types of families and individuals that we'll be working with as well to refer in the program. Our interim housing programs have homeless women and children, for example, who were victims of domestic violence. And those women are currently working with their case manager and their case managers in the program to get connected to employment services, to be able to increase their income and work towards maintaining their housing. So already a lot of the clients that we are going to refer are in interim type housing programs where they're getting that case management currently. We have, for example, Door of Hope Transitional Housing Program helps our families for up to 1 year. So the referrals that they're going to make are for those who are ready to move on to permanent housing, and they've already received that case management throughout their stay at Door of Hope. So in addition to that, they'll get the follow-up 12 months case management in our program. So of course, the program is open to the populations that we specified, and case by case, we'll look at it. If there's a chronically homeless client who needs the services, of course, we're going to offer them the opportunity to be in the program, but we really need to look at the clients who are somewhat housing ready and who don't require the intensive ongoing case management services. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking. Now, again, once we roll out the program, we'll need to just work closely with our agencies our key agencies, we didn't mention the Glendale Police Department, but I do want to mention them too. They're going to be very involved in identifying our clients as well. The Glendale Unified School District will be working with them to identify homeless families. So there's going to be a lot of planning around this program to make it successful.
Thank you.
I hope I answered your
Well,
questions.
I think you did. I think staff has done a great job in preparing for this report and preparing it. In fact, our city has done a remarkable job in trying to address our share of what is a regional homeless crisis. When we look at what we've been able to do in order to reduce the number of individuals in our community who are without shelter, we have made more progress than some other areas, and I think that's in large part to dedicated staff like both of you and the individuals that support you. I want to thank also my fellow authority members for their very thoughtful and careful questions about this. It truly shows the care that all of us have in making sure that we're treating people humanely, that we're making sure that those individuals who are in Glendale are served. In regards to that, I do know that in Los Angeles, for instance, there are certain rules that the council has placed in place that prioritize individuals that have been homeless within a specific council district to qualify for certain types of assistance, such as this concept of tiny homes or smaller shelter units, which has its main purpose as immediately providing a roof over someone's head along with some supportive services. I believe Hope of the Valley is one of the organizations involved in that. I also understand the limitations that we have accepting federal funds in terms of putting in place some of the guidelines that Councilmember Najarian outlined that we would like, perhaps, such as servicing those individuals who've been primarily homeless in our city boundaries. If we do not have that ability, but we're able to free up funds from other areas where we have funds from the county, I think it's important for us to, you've heard it from at least one council member, I'm sure others, or authority member, you'll hear it from me as well, to then prioritize, use the funds that we do have more control over to prioritize those individuals. And I do know that staff does a remarkable job. You've taken a holistic approach of looking at individuals and families and people in need to be able to address whatever issues have led them to find themselves in the situations they're in. I would like to only ask that, I actually am very excited about this program. I think that there's something to be said that we can, I would like to be cautiously optimistic about your statement, Mr. Bobolian, that we can help use these funds to eliminate homelessness, although I think that we have greater problems regionally, and however much we do, we're still going to be looking at individuals who are strained and struggle to find homes to live in for a variety of reasons. But given the concern that has come up now from a few individuals, which is being able to find the adequate units to be able to house these individuals in that will qualify for this program, I want to see how we can empower staff to be able to go out and negotiate, cajole, whatever they need to do to help bring some more landlords to the table to be able to provide roofs over our most neediest members of our community. So if that means, if we need to incentivize things through help, assistance, utility, forgiveness for a period, what must we do, Mr. City Manager or City Attorney, that we can legally do to help give you? Because we saw one of the things in this report is that the sooner we house these people, the greater of an incentive we're receiving in terms of funds that will help us administer this program better. What I don't want to see happen is that we say, great, we pass the motion and the resolution today, you go out and then you find that you've run into a stumbling block of the housing market, which is the housing market, and individuals who may not be willing to rent units for a variety of reasons or participate. So what can we do to help you administer this as quickly as possible, besides taking action today on the items that you've brought forth before us?
Housing Chair Kasakian and members of the Housing Authority, I would recommend you, if after you pass these actions, that you allow staff to come back with a progress report. And that part of that report, we will also include our success or lack thereof, being able to get landlords or property owners essentially to provide these units. And let us put our heads together and come up with some ideas that would further the progress on that arena. So I would say maybe, and we'll see how it goes in 3 months, if not in 6 months for sure.
Okay, as long as we don't surpass some of these timelines, which will help us. If we can get something sooner in the form of a memorandum, I think that would be appreciated, because I think time is, and I think everyone here agrees, I believe everyone agrees that time is of the essence here. We have been given it's been mentioned a few times, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You can't tell because I'm wearing a mask, but I am smiling about this. I'm excited. I do know, we all know individuals in this community.
Happy to move the item?
Yes.
I'm happy to move the item.
Sure. With that, are you moving the motion and the resolution? Can they be moved
Move the
together?
motion
And the resolution?
and the resolution. I will
Okay.
do 1 and 2, 6, 1 and 2.
And there's a second by Authority Member Agajanian. So with that, let's have roll call.
Authority Member Argenian,
Yes.
Agajanian,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes,
Najarian,
Yes.
Parazian, and Chair Kasakian.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, staff. With that, authority member and staff comments. Are there any authority member comments before we move to staff comments? Seeing none, staff, I believe you have some announcements to make. Mr. Lanzafame.
Go to the next slide for me. Sure. Mr. Chairman, members of the Housing Authority, wanted to announce that we're beginning our marketing efforts for 140 affordable units that will be located in 2 current projects. Next on Lex, which is at Lexington and Brand, and Brio Apartments, which is out on West Colorado.
Give me a second, I'll have that up.
We're going to get it in just a minute. The projects together, they have 70 low income, that's 80% of AMI, 70 units available. 70 units for very low, which is 50% of AMI. And that's average median income. And we've got some graphics here, and we'll have for you in just a minute what those limits are. Go to the next slide for me. So at the top is Next on Lex. The bottom is Brio. We have begun marketing. That started yesterday and will go through next week. We will be sending emails and flyers to the people on our affordable housing interest list. We will have copies in both of these leasing offices. The city of Glendale will push this on our social media, website, and newsletters. We'll be in newspaper publications of several different languages, Spanish, Armenian, Korean. We will be reaching out to the African American community, and then in local newspapers, CV Weekly and the Glendale News Press. We will also be advertising on different online classified areas from Zillow, apartments.com, Facebook, Instagram, and the others. This is a slide that shows some of the rents for the different units, studios, 1, 2s, and 3 bedrooms, and then the corresponding incomes, both minimum and maximum. There is a minimum income limit. They want to make sure that you can afford the rent, but as you can see, they range from $1,208 for a studio up to $2,758 for a 3-bedroom apartment. This will be, this marketing push will, as I said, started yesterday. And if I go to the next slide. Applications will be available July 26th through August 16th. When we say pre-application, what we mean, this is to apply for the lottery for these units. You can apply at that website there, which is the developer, property owner, and management company. Also, the number there is for information if you want to call. And as I say, this will all be done electronically through that website. We will have, certainly if you call the housing office, we'll have that information and be able to provide it for you. Wanted to make that announcement. That marketing piece you'll see out all this week. Then next week, this will start. We'll run this on GTV6 as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There are no other comments, and they're seeing that there is no new business. May we have a motion to adjourn the Housing Authority meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Moved by Authority Member Agajanian, and we'll assume seconded by Authority Member Devine. Thank you. We stand adjourned.
So, are we ready for the next? So for the 406, I'll call to order the joint meeting of the Glendale City Council and successor agency for July 20th. May we have roll call?
Councilmember Agajanian,
Present.
Brotman,
Here.
Kasakian,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
and Mayor Devine.
Here. And for the successor agency? Do we need to take roll for both?
We do not.
No, we do.
Okay, thank you. As was previously
We
announced.
should,
We
we
do.
should take roll for, it's the same members, just read the same roll call.
Correct.
Successor agency Agajanian,
Present.
Brotman,
Here.
Kasakian,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
and Mayor Devine.
Here. Okay. If you've been watching the previous meetings, you are aware that we were due to open city council and the afternoon meetings to the public, but due to the Delta variant and COVID numbers going up, we are delaying the reopening of our city facilities for afternoon meetings and as a reminder for tonight at city council. But you can view the meetings on Charter Cable Channel 6 and AT&T Universe Channel 99, and we are streaming in high definition online. And there's a free app called ScreenWeave on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices. Just choose Glendale TV. If you have a public comment during this meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during the Glendale Housing Authority. What is next, please?
Community development regarding findings in support of the proposed transfer of former Glendale Redevelopment Agency owned property to the city of Glendale for government use per California Health and Safety Code Section 34181. Property located at southwest corner of Bram Boulevard and Glen Oaks Avenue, consisting of public right-of-way and APN 5644-013-905, 907, 914, 915, 917, 919, 921, 923, 924, 929, 930, 934, 935, and 936 created by Los Angeles County Flood Control District prior to construction of Verdugo Wash. The properties referred to herein as the row wash parcels. One successor agency resolution finding the row wash parcels proposed for transfer to the city of Glendale are for government use and authorizing the executive director to execute a grant deed and any other documents necessary to effectuate transfer of the row wash parcels to the city of Glendale for the appraised value of $33,000. City Council resolution authorizing the city manager to accept the grant deed and to execute other documents necessary to effectuate transfer of row wash parcels from the successor agency to the city of Glendale for the appraised value of $33,000. 3, resolution of appropriation in the amount of $33,000 from the unassigned general fund balance to the capital improvements fund to fund the purchase of row wash parcels for the appraised value of $33,000.
Thank you. Mr. Galanian?
Yes, good afternoon. Mayor Devine, members, City Council, Housing Chair Mr. Kasakian and Housing Authority members. I'm just going to turn it over to Tamar Saad, our Senior Admin Officer with our Economic Development Division. Tamar?
Thank you. Hello, Mayor Devine and members of council. Before you today is a recommendation to make findings that the subject property located on the southwest corner of Brand Glen Oaks and the APNs read into the record by the city clerk is for government use as defined by Health and Safety Code 34181, and therefore can be transferred to from the successor agency to the city of Glendale for the appraised value of $33,000. In 2012, redevelopment was eliminated, and with that came the creation of the Dissolution Act, which dictated what shall happen with former agency assets. In 2014, Glendale created the Long Range Property Management Plan, which outlined the disposition of all agency assets. The subject property for discussion today was inadvertently missed during that process. However, properties that were constructed and used for governmental purposes, such as roads or parks, like this subject property, are transferable to the responsible governmental agency. The property totals approximately 87,000 square feet and is comprised of the following two contiguous areas. The first, outlined in red, is the wash parcels. It is 14 adjacent parcels originally acquired by the Los Angeles Flood Control District for purposes of constructing the Verdugo Wash Flood Control Channel between Brand and Central. Due to engineering limitations, no buildings may be constructed on the Verdugo Wash. However, it may be capped, landscaped, and traveled over. The second area in green is the public right-of-way located between Glen Oaks and the Verdugo Wash. In 1988, pursuant to a development agreement with the Red Lion Hotel, the redevelopment agency assembled the parcels in question and constructed the cap above the Verdugo Wash to provide landscape improvements and an access road from Glen Oaks to the hotel. The cap portion was obtained with the stipulation that the Los Angeles Flood Control District reserves a paramount right to use the property for flood control purposes and that ability not be impaired. In exchange for the construction of this vehicular access road, the hotel owner was required to maintain and repair the Verdugo Wash deck, the access road, sidewalks, and all landscaping and hardscape improvements in the easement area. The easement also ensured the public retains access to the small urban park. This area was constructed for governmental flood control purposes to provide vehicle access and for public use, and it supports the intention of the Health and Safety Code for transfer for governmental use. As it is the agency's obligation to divest itself of all assets expeditiously, the successor agency did commission appraisal of the site. In developing an opinion of value, the appraiser took into account the easement encumbrances and the development and use limitations due to the flood control channel and public right-of-way usages. Staff is requesting the agency adopt the findings for governmental use, that both the council and agency authorize staff to enter into the grant deed agreements, and that the council appropriate the funds needed to transfer the property. Following council and agency approval of this item, staff will again present this to the Los Angeles County Oversight Board, 5th District on August 12th, and then pending their approval, presented to the State Department of Finance, who has 40 days to approve this action. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer questions.
Are there any questions? I'll need to see council in order to, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this item?
I would like to move the item.
Is there a second?
I apologize. We need on item number 1 is successor agency, and then the other 2 items are for council.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it for the successor agency.
Okay.
And if Mr. Agajanian makes it again for the council items,
Yes,
I'll
for the
second them
council,
for
I
the
know that.
council items for 2 and 3.
I just have one question before we go to roll call.
Go ahead, Mr.
So
Councilmember.
just so we're clear, the city is still maintaining this, and it's still subject to the easements of the Glendale, Hilton, et cetera, correct?
That is correct, Councilmember Najarian. All of the easements would remain in place.
Would remain, okay, thank you.
So we'll have roll call, please, for the successor agency.
Councilmember Agajanian,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes,
and Mayor Devine.
Yes, and for city council for 2 and 3?
Councilmember Agajanian?
Yes.
Brotman?
Yes.
Kasakian?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
And Mayor Devine.
Yes. And with that, may I have entertain a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn for council.
Second.
Move to adjourn for successor agency.
Second.
Second, we are both adjourned. Thank you. And now I will call to order the Glendale City Council meeting for July 20th. And shall we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Agajanian?
Yeah, present.
Brotman?
Here.
Kasakian?
Here.
Najarian?
Present.
And Mayor Devine.
Here, present. And just to remind everyone that may be watching at this point that council chambers will be closed tonight and until further notice. What's next, please, Mr. Jimian?
1A would be conference with labor negotiators. The city designated negotiators attending the closed session are Ruben Kalanian, Michael J. Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, Matt Doe, John Tuktayan, Silvio Lanzis, and Michelle Flynn. The names of the employee organization are Glendale City Employees Association, Glendale Management Association, and Glendale Firefighters Association. Unrepresented employees, executives, and confidential employees. B, conference with legal counsel pending litigation. Sanchez versus the City of Glendale, LASC case number 19 STCV 24143.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, do you intend to report out on any of these items?
We do not anticipate reporting out, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Then we will recess to closed session. Thank you.